The lobster, once seen as garbage and peasant food in the 18th century, were not fed to prisoners more than twice a week as it was seen as punishment. Now a luxury food to the point they are overfished. So why are their closest relatives, grasshoppers and insects, seen as gross and disgusting? The stigma that was once applied to lobsters and crustaceans can be removed to insects as well. Before addressing the numerous environmental, societal, and nutritional benefits of the consumption of insects, overcoming the neophobia of trying insects must be resolved. 2 billion people worldwide eat insects, more than a quarter of the world's population, in 80% of countries. But why is it still so unpopular in the West? A common Western perspective may view eating insects as primitive, gross, or not unnecessary due to the fact we have access to more nutritional or better tasting foods. Historically, in Europe, bugs were not too common simply because not many bugs lived in European conditions. Bugs are accessible year-round as a steady food supply in tropical and warmer climates where they are common today. Still, the stigma is relatively new. Aristotle once wrote how he enjoyed snacking on cicadas. As some countries develop and modernize, traditions are lost, like Benin, where consuming bugs can be seen as backwards and not as accepted in cities, while in Thailand or Cambodia it is accepted in rural and urban areas alike. Yet most of the benefits are still uncovered because of the Western stigma of insects. Insects are associated with decay, disease, and have unfamiliar textures. They are more labeled food deprivers than food suppliers for their negative roles in agriculture. Insects are also associated with carrying pathogens and having a high risk of allergic reaction, yet they have almost the same risk as shellfish. 9 in 10 Americans eat meat too, despite the high risks of E. coli and other diseases from contamination. A study by Dr. Maya Gumasoy found that educating people on the cooking process and turning raw insects into delicious food helped consumers accept and eat as much mealworm falafel as a control group who had not been told there was mealworm in their falafel. Another part of the study found that social norm influences are more powerful than educational influences. It found that people who were showed eating whole crickets to be a social norm in a bar were more likely to accept eating them whole, rather than people who were told the health and sustainable benefits of crickets.
Whoa, Danny, are you eating crickets?
Yeah,
Those look really good. I think I want to try some.
it's great.
Yeah.
It also found that most participants' liking increased after they tried the food, as it was better than they thought. Disgust is correlated to liking, and if our perception of disgust changes, our liking will likely increase. Most disgust regarding insects comes from the ideation of our knowledge of the origin or nature of food, which for many is gross conditions in the wild. The study concluded in saying to achieve widespread acceptance of perceived disgusting foods, we must make them socially acceptable to give people a positive ideation of eating them. How can we change the Western mindset like we have for foods like lobster or sushi to accept insects? Despite the numerous cuisines and diversity in food brought by immigrants, entomophagy tends to be forgotten. But why is this? To answer this question, I caught up with Branchburg resident Miguel Aguirre, who grew up in Mexico snacking on insects from time to time. So tell me about your experiences of eating insects when you were younger in Mexico.
We will eat them sometimes when we go to the park or a market. They will sell them as a snack and we will buy them. So it's mostly like a weekend snack.
And why do you think that's not common practice here in the United States?
I think people are used to getting the stuff from supermarkets or stores, and where everything is packaged and pre-washed, so they probably wouldn't, people wouldn't feel comfortable eating something. Everything is disgusting or yucky to eat an insect. Yeah.
And would you be willing to share your recipes or how you like your cultural experiences with others here?
Yes.
And if it was norm here and if more people ate them, do you think you would eat them the same frequency you had them when you were younger, or more if it was that way here?
More common, yeah. Probably if it was easier to get or easier to find and more people doing it, I think I would be more willing to try it. Yeah.
Right. The question still remained of how people born into anti-insect eating environments would react to the introduction of entomophagy in their daily lives. To answer this question, I visited Bridgewater native and current Branchburg resident Michelle Aguirre her thoughts.
Once in my life, I ate bugs. I ate chocolate-covered ants.
growing up in New Jersey, if somebody offered me a bug to eat, no, I don't think I would eat a bug. Am I supposed to talk about now as well?
Sure.
So now, would I eat bugs? Yes, but let me back that up. I would not want to eat bugs that were out in the forest eating dead plants and dead animals, but I'd be willing to eat bugs that were like raised in a farm like setting because they're clean.
And if you know about after learning the environmental and nutritional benefits of them, and if they became the social norm in New Jersey, do you think you would be willing to eat them more, to help expand them?
Yes, but again, if they were farm raised, I would be willing to eat them. There's a famous chef in the country, Jose Andres, and he serves sauteed chapulines. I think that's how you say grasshoppers, crickets. And I'd be willing to try those. But no, I would be willing to eat them in my home if they were farm raised. Do I want to be pulling insect legs out of my teeth? No, but if they're, I've had frog legs. I'd be willing to have them. I would want them to be tasty, but I'm sure we'll learn ways to make them tasty.
Mrs. Aguirre enjoys activities like baking and hopes to soon incorporate insects into her recipes. Advertising the many environmental benefits eating insects has may be the encouragement people like her need to give them a try. Another method towards social acceptance is advertising their benefits for the environment. Currently, the global livestock industry is responsible for 11 to 19% of greenhouse gas emissions. Crickets, one of the most popular and eco-friendly insects, are very efficient. They are 4 times more efficient than pigs in turning feed into meat and 6 times more efficient than cows. Compared to cows, for 1 gram of beef, cows use 112 liters of water, while crickets use 23. The overuse of water in the meat industry has led to desertification threatening communities all over the world. Deforestation has been increasing as the population grows and more land degrades from poor agricultural practices. Cows require 200 square meters and pigs require 50 square meters to live on for 1 kilogram of protein, while crickets need just 15 square meters. Crickets grow and reproduce far faster than other forms of livestock, reaching adulthood in 2 months and laying approximately 1,200 eggs per month. Crickets are far easier to raise and are much better to be grown indoors. They are social creatures and are far better off closer together compared to the meat industry. Insects are better suited for farms and livestock as they pose less risk of disrupting ecosystems, and their potential for contamination can be reduced in controlling what they eat. Several countries have been seen exportation of wild insects in southern Africa, New Zealand, and northern Europe. Therefore, it is important to keep expanding on harvesting insects in controlled environments while also letting rural communities thrive on their current practices. This is not necessarily the same for cows and livestock, who are better off in open areas. This presents a challenge as it will be difficult promoting cattle farmers to change to insects. They will need to construct controlled environments that prevent insects from threatening their environments. Additional environmental benefits are that many consumable insects are natural decomposers and can be fed organic waste, converting it into nutrients, thus removing the burden of incinerating it in landfills or simply sitting in landfills and releasing methane. This is especially useful in the U.S., where close to 1/3 of all food is wasted. Insect waste can be used as organic fertilizer, and they have numerous benefits that are like those from GMO plants or synthetic fertilizers, like stimulating plant growth and durability against illnesses, while containing the ordinary benefits organic fertilizers have over inorganic. To be truly effective, scalability and production technology needs to be continuously developed depending on the purpose. As of now, insects used for aquafeed gave a more negative impact than feeds without. Therefore, more research needs to be done on new applications, while the applications with positive environmental impacts become widespread. The World Research Institute claims food demand will increase 50% by 2050. Insects can be a very reliable protein source for the future. Insects have better protein digestibility than plant protein, but slightly worse than other animal proteins. This is because some protein is stuck to the exoskeleton. Each insect carries its own nutrients and protein profile, varying on species, life cycle stage, and how it's prepared and diet composition. With 1,900 edible insect species worldwide, identifying which can be best implemented and grown in malnourished areas is important. But specifically, crickets slow weight gain, improve immune response, reduce inflammation, enhance energy metabolism, increase HDL good cholesterol, are high in vitamin B12, vitamin A, riboflavin, antioxidants, and they have 5 times the magnesium of beef and 3 times the iron. They are high in zinc and have more calcium than milk. The chitin of their exoskeletons also has prebiotic gut bacteria and prevent colon cancer. Most edible insects, regardless of species, are high in amino acids necessary for proper development. There are many different processes to extract the protein that each affect the composition of them, such as alkaline or ultrasound extractions. Insect lipids are the second most abundant insect nutrient, most abundant in insects at the larval stage. These fatty acids are beneficial fats containing good omega values. Implementing insects into diets worldwide will help address the growing issues of malnutrition and food insecurity. Insect flours have already been combined into rice flours, thus creating a protein-dense and energy-denser staple food, one that is consumed for 20% of the world's dietary energy. Around the world, unsustainable agricultural practices has resulted in large populations of sub-Saharan Africa and southern Asia not getting proper nutrition. Disguising insect flours or powders into baked goods and snacks can deliver the nutrition needed to malnourished Americans not in favor of eating insects. New Jersey has an obesity rate of 28.6% in adults and 29% for kids. Our county has one of the lowest in the state, correlated to our county's high medium income. But our state's number one cause of death is heart disease. The numerous food deserts in lower income areas lead to low income families not having access to high quality nutritious food. Cumberland County has the highest obesity rate and lowest medium income. Misinformation and propaganda from the meat and grain industry leads to even more issues as people believe they will be taking steps to a healthy diet but are still failing to. We are fortunate to have access to fresh produce locally, yet as the population grows, disparities may rise and less food will be available. Getting stores to bring in insect-based foods and snacks may be a way to get lower-income families the quality food they need. Fortunately, our overweight rates are higher than our food insecurity rates, but this does not mean we can't find a balance of ideal nutrition for all Americans. Expanding insect-based foods and changing our meat-based culture is necessary towards feeding the rapidly growing world population while attempting to preserve what amount of land is salvable. I believe the best way forward, before addressing the issues and benefits insects can bring to our climate nutrition, is to highlight how tasty they can be. Giving insects the delicacy title they have in many cultures will make them less seen as solely a solution to climate change, but rather a way to gain muscle and protein shakes, or something that's tastier than sharing Takis with your friends. This takes bravery and people willing to change their mindset, as well as people embracing their cultures despite it being out of the norm. Then hopefully they can gain popularity, become more widespread, and become affordable instead of a luxury item they are currently priced as. Because the insect-based foods market is so low in the U.S., it is not heavily promoted or invested in by the government and consumers. To investigate the potential insect-based foods have in the U.S., I asked local Wegmans associate Van Schubert his thoughts.
So do you think insect-based foods will be sold at Wegmans anytime soon?
Well, at Wegmans, we're always looking to expand our opportunities and make it viable. So definitely in the future, we would be able to have insect-based foods at our store. It would be very helpful for customers, and I'm sure people would love it.
And how well do you think these products will be sold in New Jersey?
Well, with the people coming to learn more information, how beneficial they are, how good they are for the environment, I think they could definitely be a viable option for food-based outcomes in the future.
A career-based action opportunity is an entomologist or food scientist. Determining what insects are best suited and will be most easily mass-produced in New Jersey is important. There are still undiscovered applications for insect-based foods that are being put in pastas, breads, and everyday foods that will enhance their nutritional quality. Making more recipes and their benefits accessible to the public will make it treated like a natural food, rather than something you eat as a dare or something treated backwards. Finally, further research determining the most sustainable methods of feeding and transporting them is necessary. They are only a method to mitigate climate change, not stop it completely, and the more applications or replacements we're able to use for them can make a huge difference.